All right, it's Melbourne Olympics, 1956. It's the marathon. And there's a guy that looks like your insurance agent or maybe your accountant, something like that. Slim guy, wispy, dirty blonde, receding hairline, steps up to the starting line and cheerfully proclaims in accented English, "Gentlemen, today we die a little." Then he proceeded to fulfill his prophecy, charging straight into agony. This man was Emil Zatopek. And I'm Dr. Nate with Speed Tribe, where we help you run your fastest times and live your best life. Now, you may not know Emil Zatopek, but he is arguably one of the greatest runners of all time with 5 Olympic medals and 18 world records. He's born back in 1922 in Czechoslovakia, and by the time he's 16 years old, he's working full-time to help support his family of 7 brothers and sisters, and so he's working in a shoe factory. And at the time, the shoe factory has this big, race, and Emil had no desire to run. He's like, I'm tired of working all day, all of that. But his boss made him enter, and he took second out of 100 people. So he decided, what the heck, might as well give it a try. So he joined a local running club and proceeded to change running forever. See, Emil was not necessarily genetically gifted. He's 5 feet 8 inches tall, 145 pounds. His lifetime best for the 800 meters was a rather pedestrian 1 minute 58 seconds. His 1500 meter personal best is 3 minutes 52 seconds. So by Olympic standards, he wasn't all that exceptionally fast. He wasn't that exceptional. He was willing. He decided that he needed to learn how to run fast. In his words, he says, I already know how to run slow. I want to learn how to run fast. So he developed a training system based on what he had read from the Finnish Olympian Paavo Nurmi. So instead of running 10,000 meters, 6 miles, to learn how to run 6 miles, or to get ready for the 10,000 meter race, he would run repetitions at a faster pace. He would run 200 meters, then he'd run 2,400 meters, and then he'd run 5 more repetitions of 200 meters, all in one race. We're talking 20 repetitions of 400 meters. And in between each two, he would just jog for 150 meters. It would basically just be at 1 minute between each repetition. And he was trying to accustomate himself to running fast. People at the time thought he was just crazy. But later, his unquestionable success led people to adopt and then adapt his training regime. And today, a lot of how you train is based on his innovations. But it wasn't just about training his legs to turn over faster. It was about training his willpower right here. He says, one's willpower increases with each task fulfilled. It's about teaching his mind to just shrug off pain, to shrug off discomfort. And so because of this, not only would he race or run repeated 400 meter or 200 meter intervals, but he would train in all sorts of conditions. The Czechoslovakian winter was just brutal, and he would just sometimes pile on 3 tracksuits or run in heavy army boots just because that's what was available right then. And he believed that this pattern of just running when difficult situations in raininess and wet and cold and just doing the work helped him develop a mental strength that was just powerful. He says, when someone trains once, nothing happens. But when a person forces himself to do a thing 100 or 1,000 times, then he certainly develops in ways more than physical. Is it raining? It doesn't matter. Am I tired? It doesn't matter. Willpower becomes no longer a problem. So he believes in this idea that the more we get used to pain, the more accustomed we are to harder circumstances, the less big deal they turn out to be. And this sort of acceptance and adaptability extended all throughout the inconveniences of his life. As a soldier, sometimes he would have to stand sentry duty, so he would jog in place. Or once when he had to do the laundry, he just filled up the bathtub with water, put the laundry in there, and jogged on top of it barefoot for 2 hours. Once he's confined to the hospital with food poisoning before the 1950 European Track Championships. So he sneaks out to the kitchen, cooks himself an illicit meal, and then goes and jogs in the hospital gardens. Then he discharges himself from the hospital, flies to Brussels on a Tuesday, makes it there on a Saturday, and wins emphatically 2 gold medals in the 5,000 and the 10,000. And he has this ability, just when it's getting hard, when he's feeling pain, that he would just try to go faster. He even says it this way. He says, if you can't keep going, go faster. Now, strictly speaking, this is nonsense. It's nothing. But it tells you about this mindset that instead of trying to give in to pain, go forward into it, embrace it. And you could see this in the way he would run, in his style. Like the New York Herald Tribune, at the time he's running, described his running style like this. He says he's bobbing, weaving, staggering, gyrating, clutching his torso, slinging supplicating glances towards heaven. He ran like a man with a noose around his neck. He seemed on the verge of strangulation. See, he's giving everything to it, and you see it. The Sport magazine at the time calls him a formless madman. Another person says his running looks like a man wrestling an octopus on a conveyor belt. Like, he is just giving everything. But in response to this, Zatopek says, I wasn't talented enough to run and smile at the same time. And he says this, he responds, I shall learn to have a better style once they start to judge races according to their beauty. But like, what this shows more than anything is his acceptance of difficulty and pain. He's okay with it. He even says pain is a merciful thing. If it lasts without interruption, it dulls itself. And so he says that if you do something long enough, it's no longer a problem. And like we said before, this boils down to 18 world records, 5 Olympic medals. He's undefeated in the 10,000 meters for 6 years. In 1952, he decides to try and run the 5,000, the 10,000, and the marathon all at the same Olympics. Runs the 5,000, wins a gold medal. Runs the 10,000, wins a gold medal. When he lines up at the marathon starting line, the favorite guy is Jim Peters from Britain. He introduces himself, the gun goes off, the race starts. At about 9 miles, Emil catches up with Jim, and he says, Jim, is this pace too fast? Now, not wanting to look weak and trying some gamesmanship to see if he could get Emil to wear himself out, Peters replies, no, it's not fast enough. So Emil picks up the pace. Eventually, Peters can't hold on. He develops leg cramps, catches a ride back on the bus, and Zatopek ends up winning by more than half a mile, more than 2 minutes over the closest guy there. Now, all of this, and he is one of the most universally generous and vibrant and full of zest people you would ever meet here. So why am I telling you this story? I'm not advocating you run 100 400-meter repeats, which he did, like 100 separate 400-meter repeats in one workout. He did this on multiple occasions. And I'm not telling you to jog on your laundry instead of just using a washing machine. But I am inviting you to get comfortable with discomfort. Make pain your friend. Be okay with it. Because as Zatopek says, at the borders of pain and suffering, that's where something magic happens. Here's Emil's final words just for you. He says, remember that by persistent effort of will, it is possible to change your whole body. Always keep in mind this concept of change and progression. Never accept your limitations as being permanent, because they are not. See you next time, friends.